Quick recap. Okay, through this turn, I managed to have my Warlock squad take on the Revenant. I immobilized it, and I managed to blow off one of the Sonic Lances. This turn, Clay gets to decide whether he wants to shoot once or take his 3 rolls to try and heal it. Um, he finally blew up my Warwalker, though it did take one Wraithguard with him. And I managed to kill off his Farseer. I managed to kill 2 more guys from the Dire Avenger unit, blow up his Wave Serpent, fighting the cold here, uh, blew up the Night Spinner, wiped out the Dark Eldar that had previously been in this little area claiming that objective, knocked him down to 2 Dark Reapers, and moved my Wraithguard forward along with their support. Managed to take out the last Dire Avenger there, and Clay now gets to bring on his last set of reserves. So, see what happens.
Uh, I opted to work on repairing my Revenant. Managed to get the movement drive partially working, and my Wraith Guard, I put them between to either go for the Seer Council or the Falcon. Opted going for the Seer Council. Shot at them and charged. Took out a few Warlocks. Only lost a Wraith Guard in return, so that fared out pretty well for me. Uh, I managed to pick off his last 2 Harlequins in that squad with my Dire Avenger Exarch. Uh, my couple fleets over there, my Lone Howling Banshee and my Asserman, both did not work out at all. Failed to do much of anything with my Wraithguard. I actually did manage to attempt to damage one of his weapons, but he made the save for that. Rangers came on. They're set up in position now. I managed to flame half the squad out of his Storm Guardians with my Wraith Lord, and my Dark Reapers did a fat load of nothing. Meanwhile, my Warp Spiders also came in. They were able to take the gun off of one of the Vipers, and none of them can shoot next turn. And that is about the extent of things.
The turns are progressing pretty quick now. This is turn 4. My army kind of swayed over to this corner of the table. I managed to wipe out the Dark Reapers and put a wound on the Wraith Lord. And that's most of what I did here. I wiped out the Wraith Guard that had been right there with the Phantom D Cannon, and then we still have a stealth combat over here. He took out another Warlock, and I took out another Wraith Guard. That's pretty much it, outside of I did manage to kill Asserman and the Avatar. So he's got a couple one-man squads left.
Right, so I managed to take down the last Warlock in this squad. So it's just the Farseer now. My Revenant wound up back in close combat, and the Farseer is trapped in there now. I managed to do nothing to that.
Did I? You say no? You did
did
nothing.
I shake it?
No.
Oh, all right. I didn't do it.
Didn't do it. You only hit once with a scatter laser and then did nothing.
You're right. My Rangers managed to try and inflict a wound on the Wraith Guard with no success. My real success was over here. I finally took down the Wave Serpent here through the combined efforts of the Wraith Lord and the Warp Spiders. It blew up. Didn't hurt any of my Warp Spiders, luckily, but all the Guardians inside were killed. Very sad story. I will weep for them later, but for now we need to continue the game.
Okay, I sort of got to abandon this area since all my Guardians died a flaming death in the last turn. And here I wiped out the Rangers with the Phantom Cannon. The Vipers actually ended up doing nothing, even though they were there looking pretty sweet. The Warp Hunter managed to take out a little over half of the Warp Spider squad, but 2 guys are left to run around and cause trouble. My Wraith Guard moved to this spot right here, and that's where they're sitting. And my Phantom managed to take out the Dire Avenger and Warlock that had been here, and my Farseer is locked in combat right there. I managed to do 1 more structure point to the Revenant and immobilize it again.
Alright, so the only thing to really note is the Farseer took out my my Revenant, which resulted in an apocalyptic explosion, which wiped out just about everything there. There's a Wraith Guard left. The Banshee miraculously survived. My Falcon just has a Shuriken catapult left. Um, and that is about all that happened this turn.
Okay, roll the dice to see if the game ends. Continues for one more turn. Okay, the overview of the battlefield is that the Wraith Guard took that objective, but Iandon was tabled. They have nothing left, so we'll have the recap in just a minute.
Uh, I had a lot of guys on the board, a lot more than Dan did, and a lot of them died very quickly. We'd played an apocalypse game. Was it last year or earlier this year?
Last year.
Last year
And,
at this
and
point.
earlier this year.
And earlier this year. Oh, I'm thinking more of the 2v2 one.
Oh, that was last year.
Where we had a similar situation occurred. I brought out all the bodies I could. This is almost the entirety of my force. And everything that wasn't a wraith unit or a vehicle died within the first 2 or 3 turns, other than some stragglers that came on later. So at that point, I didn't really have anything with which to control any part of the board. So I was mainly just trying to sweep up the flanks. I got tied up over in this corner down here that we were talking about, where his Warlock squad and Farseer charged in at my Revenant, which could have gone well enough for me. But I made a dumb move, and I went back in with my Revenant after I got out of there, which ended up getting the Revenant destroyed and everything blew up over there. My only real way to win, which was what I was going for, and was going pretty well, was wiping out his, well, it wasn't necessarily winning, but I was going to wipe out all his troop units, force a draw, because there's nothing I could do about the Phantom, and I had no means with which to control any real significant chunk of the board. So he ended up with just having his Wraith Guard squad left. I had taken out his Guardian squads, and I had the opportunity to at least inflict heavy damage on his Wraith Guard squad, if not wipe it out over the course of a couple turns with my Revenant. However, I opted to stay over in the corner. That was really a glaring mistake, and the only glaring mistake that I can think of in the battle, which was otherwise an entertaining one. If anything, I learned that this is a really good size in terms of point value and board size for the Revenants, for the first tier of super heavy vehicle. When you move into the what I call super heavy vehicles like the Phantom, it really becomes a little claustrophobic, and the point value means that he can move around uncontested. I did not inflict any sort of damage on the Phantom, and I didn't really have the opportunity to, which I could still win the game, but it was simply a matter of keep away from the Phantom. All in all, it was an entertaining game either way, and I'm sure Dan has more to say.
My microphone wasn't working right yesterday, so I have to refilm this recap from me. In essence, Clay really summed up a lot of the issues with the game, where the Phantom was just too dominant at this table size for that point value. Really don't use the major titans in anything less than, at the very least, 7,500 points. Probably more like 10,000 points is better. They're just going to be far too dominant. Also, the table size was an issue. Clay and I are going to try to get another game with the Phantom at some point, wherein we're planning on having 2 tables next to each other, so bigger table, bigger point value, and he's going to try and run 2 Revenant Titans, one with Sonic Lances, one with Pulsars, to see if that sort of evens things out a bit. Outside of that, the Phantom itself is devastating. It is very, very good. I took the close combat weapon with the D cannon, which was still just the combination, mostly the D cannon though, was just absolutely devastating. Clay made a great point to me that I don't think he makes in his other clip is that all the secondary weapons on the Phantom, those piled up are like having an additional primary weapon, um, because they can just put out so much firepower. In addition to that, the Warp Hunter, the new rules for it are amazing. Whatever it points at dies. For any Eldar player whose opponents allow them to use Imperial armor, I highly suggest it. Other than the fact that it's a fantastic looking tank, the rules for it are brutal. And this game I managed to splat an Avatar with Wraith Cannon fire. I only had one who was in range. He rolled a 6 on the wound. Clay failed the armor save. And the Warp Hunter shot the Wraith Lord, and I rolled a 6 to wound again, and it splatted him. So that's the first time I've actually been able to splat thing with any type of D-cannon or Wraith cannon. I did it twice in one game. So that was a lot of fun. Outside of that, it was a great game. Clay's always an awesome opponent, and big bonehead of the game goes to me, because I brought down the wrong codex. I brought down my Dark Eldar codex in the middle of the game, totally forgot how to use my Harlequins, just total brain fart on what their rules were, and had to have Clay go searching through his codex for them, and I completely forgot they're also in the Dark Eldar codex with the same exact rules. So I had them there at my fingertips. Just, I don't know what I was thinking. So that one's on me. That's it. It was a great game. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and getting to see a Phantom in some use, and you'll probably get to see it more.